Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the Foundry. It is I, Sly, with John and Ken, and we are diving into Deadpool and Wolverine. We are finally reviewing this fantastic movie. How you guys doing?
I'm doing great, dude. I'm ready to talk about this movie. It's been a long time. We've been waiting for this movie.
Doing well. There's a running joke throughout the film, and it's crazy how accurate it actually is. How this movie actually was like a life jacket in this sinking fucking universe of these awful films and these awful shows. This was actually the most like non-Marvel thing. Actually, was the best.
Yes, it is a journey for this movie. It is exactly what you'd expect. Like there's
Yep,
like,
that's
if
perfect.
you think about Deadpool and Wolverine, you're like you pretty much have an idea of what this movie could be like, and that's pretty much all it is. It's just awesome, great Deadpool action and a lot of just fighting between two guys who can't die. So like it's a win-win. Like it's just
One who can't die and one who's just constantly dying.
yeah, it's great. So I think we were briefly talking a little bit before this, like before we started, but like there's a lot of great stuff to this movie. Probably funny enough, the weakest part is technically the plot of the movie.
I agree.
Like it's a little bit, I mean, from a movie like this, you're not expecting the plot to be anything great, let's be honest. But it's a little convoluted. They pull in a lot of things from the different shows, which is great if you've been caught up. Like all the different references to things, like they specifically refer to like specific episodes of some shows, and then like name specific numbers of episodes, which is I thought was really funny. But
Yeah.
like if you didn't watch the show, you're like, it's just right over your head. But like it doesn't prevent you from still enjoying the movie. Like you don't need to see all of the
Not
other
at all.
shows to enjoy anything. You might be a little more confused and you won't get as much enjoyment maybe. But you don't need to know everything. So I thought overall it was good. The plot was definitely the weakest part, but damn, it's just banger after banger of like good times and jokes.
The comedy was fire, but you're right. Yeah, the story, the plot, it had some ups and downs. The villain wasn't the most menacing, but we could get into that later. Honestly, it just felt like a buddy movie between one guy who loves and looks up to the other guy and the other one who's just so fucking irritated with the other dude and just wants to like throw him off a cliff.
Yeah.
And I loved that dynamic.
Yeah.
It worked really well. I'm really happy with the chemistry between the two characters, and as you would assume, there was a lot of references and cameos and stuff, but nothing that was like too overboard as well, and nothing that the film like relied on too heavily. And if it did, like they gave you plenty of background information leading into it, and almost turned it into a joke to where it wasn't even like that important for you to know about it really, which I really enjoyed too. The
Yeah. Gratuitous references and just like
Oh,
let's
yeah.
just say if you've been a Marvel fan for a while of the movies and shows and things and like farther back, like old school Marvel, like when they first started making Marvel movies, like let's just say that you'll also be pretty pleased with some of the things that go on in this movie. Like they pulled a lot of different like references from a lot of different areas. So people who have been in the Marvel space and the Marvel movies for a while are going to be quite pleased.
Yeah,
for
going
sure.
There are a
going
ton
back.
of callbacks, but these were some serious callbacks. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was the early 2000s of the Marvel movies and stuff like that, and then
Like pre-MCU.
exactly, yeah, that's what I absolutely loved. You know, they did a lot of that stuff. Movie just worked really well. I was really scared because this was going to be the film that they were going to cross the bridges between Fox and
Yeah.
Marvel and everything like that, and I was so scared of how they're going to do that. And going into seeing a trailer. I hope someone does not see this as a spoiler, but we knew the TVA was going to be involved, and we know the TVAs exist from the Loki TV shows on Disney Plus. So I was like, okay, so there's going to be like some multiverse stuff involved, which I personally am not a fan of.
Perfect.
Yeah.
I mean, it's perfect for this though. I agreed on like it being
Yeah.
kind of rough and how they've implemented it, but still.
It makes a lot of sense where you leave off of with Deadpool 2 with with Cable being involved, who was time traveling and stuff, and there was a bit of that going on. So it makes a lot of sense.
Justification for
Yeah.
getting the attention of the TVA.
Yeah, exactly. But I mean, I enjoyed it. I feel like the casting was pretty good too. I wish I got to see a little bit more of the cameos, honestly, that we saw like in the trailers as well. Like certain characters, I wish we got to see a little bit more of them. But I'm perfectly fine and happy with it. You know, it was bittersweet almost seeing a lot of that stuff.
Yeah. There's a lot of really good, just nostalgia, just a lot of. They had so many pop culture references of like now stuff, and also just like the state of, like just things in the world and just in Marvel Cinematic Universe and stuff like that. And like they did not pull punches, which I thought was funny as shit. I think they did great. Like they were not afraid to do some jokes, which just I was not expecting, and I was completely floored by that. So
I gotta say, they did a great job too with set design. Costumes were, I mean, comic accurate.
Yes,
like to the max. They nailed every one of them, and there wasn't a single costume really for me that I was like, "The hell are you wearing?"
Yeah,
like who greenlit this? They were all pretty good. Combat was amazing. The fight choreography was A1. A little bit. It was a couple times it got a little gratuitous with some, but you know what? That's okay.
Yeah, I'm very happy with it. You know, we have been coming from very low standards with the prior Marvel films and TV shows, so I was all about this movie. I was very.
This was a breath of fresh air to what we've seen before.
Yeah,
would recommend.
Yes, 100%.
Go see this. Yes.
I think it's like doing really well, and it's the first Marvel MCU movie that is rated R as well, too, right?
Yeah, I believe so.
So that's
with the amount of times the F word was thrown around, absolutely. Man.
Yeah, first few minutes they're throwing it around like,
oh,
damn,
man.
All right, shit.
Just a lot of the things in this movie are X-rated, bro.
Yeah.
So that's gonna be our non-spoiler review. If you guys are still watching and you don't want to be spoiled, I would recommend you click off, and because we're gonna get a little deep dive, a little further analysis, and talk about the more specifics. So if you don't want any spoilers, I click off right about now, because in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Cool. All right, you are in spoiler territory, you guys. So if you don't want to be spoiled, you best get the fuck out.
Get the hell out of here.
Wolverine's abs, man. Good
Dude,
lord.
The end. We're gonna jump right to the end.
I creamed, dude.
Dude, the music, so good in this movie. They picked so many
the
good
track
songs.
was amazing. The songs they chose, the NSYNC at the beginning, the ending, I loved it.
The beginning was quite iconic with the dead body of Wolverine. I was fucking
the
stunned.
Desecration of a corpse and turning him
I do
into
have
a weapon.
one complaint about that. He somehow was breaking. There was a part at the beginning. I feel like he broke off a rib cage or something.
Yeah.
I don't know how he's doing that. Like, that's supposed to be adamantium, right? Like, how is he? How did he break that shit with his bare hands? Like, what the hell?
That's a good point. Yeah, can adamantium snap off like of itself like that? Technically,
I would say no, because even with like his teeth were bone, and then like the whole thing is that his entire like bones were replaced with adamantium, or so I thought. You know, I don't know if like maybe just the structure of the bones or the bones themselves. I don't know if like.
Oh, you know what? When they reset the timeline in the old X-Men, they changed the way that he received the adamantium. Remember?
Nope, I don't. But please do tell.
Yeah, go on.
in Days of Future Past, remember he has that whole situation where he travels back in time.
Yeah.
Just a little bit of that, I think.
Yeah, he goes to try and stop some shit, and he gets captured sooner before he ends up getting the adamantium, and they retcon the way he receives it.
Oh yeah, you're right.
They changed it, and they didn't like graft it into him. They coated his bones with it, I think.
Okay, yeah, because I remember what's her face?
Agreed. But if it's just like a coating, it could be thinner than just pure solid. Because in X-Men Wolverine, that was where he had the OG adamantium.
Origins, right? Yeah, because I remember the scene with maybe it was Rogue, maybe it was someone else. I can't really remember. where he had the headgear and he was escaping, and she all approaches him all like soft and somberly and stuff like
Yeah,
that.
Phoenix. Yeah.
Oh, it was Phoenix. Sorry. I
Jean
remember.
Grey.
Yeah, I remember that specifically of him being approached wearing
Yeah, he
the
just runs out
headgear.
in the snow. Yeah.
Yeah, I very rarely remember that. Vaguely.
fair.
Yeah.
So that might, but you're right.
Maybe.
Adamantium shouldn't hopefully be that brittle.
I had
mean,
the
between
same.
the bones make sense. But
Yeah, I had the
bone
same
itself-
thought, but I was like, I just thought about his teeth, because I saw it. I'm like, and this motherfucker, like, that's not real like metal, but like whatever, doesn't matter. Not a big deal.
Yeah, no, I'm nitpicking here. Like it's not
It's
a
a
big
small
deal. It
detail.
didn't take away from the scene, but I saw it and I was like, that doesn't make sense.
What do you guys think about the difference in how we perceive the TVA in Disney Plus and this movie? I feel like they kind of were nerfed a little bit in this movie.
Yes, but I think it kind of makes sense based on how Loki went. Right? They're a lot more. They're trying to be more reserved about pruning stuff. I think.
Oh
And
yeah,
I think that's kind of made them worse at their jobs.
yeah.
Yeah, I mean that's
They're
the whole. That's
fighting
his
everything
whole
with
shtick,
one
right?
hand tied. Yeah.
The biggest
Yeah.
thing with the plot that I really didn't like, I guess, is because I didn't feel like they just kind of pulled it out of their ass. Not that it doesn't make sense. Not that
Yeah, I
it's
think
like
I know where you're going with this. Yeah.
as they tell Deadpool the whole reason why, like, hey, we're gonna bring you to the TVAs because your timeline's going to disappear because you had a main person or a character in your timeline that died who technically is an anchor. So if that important person dies, the timeline dies too.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, and the dealio was that the big baddie from the TVA was like, I want to destroy it faster. I feel like that's really fucking a weak
That's
thing
what
to go
Loki was
off
trying
of.
to do in that show. There's that subplot of like, no, we need to keep pruning. There can only be one timeline. So like, I get it, the whole radical thing, but you're right. It is a really weak leg to stand on.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And just
that
for
bit of the intro was confusing. I got confused about what was going on, and I was like, okay. And then he goes to try to find another Wolverine to be the anchor beam.
I'm about to pop off.
What?
That scene is great.
Oh.
So,
go for
all
it.
right. So the entire thing is, he says, "Hey, my bosses said I need to get you Deadpool because you're really important." Anyways, so you don't want to join up, but I'm actually going against my bosses and doing things I'm not supposed to be doing. But I'm gonna listen to them in this instance and get the only threat who can take me down. What the fuck? Why did he pull him from the fucking thing, from the timeline, and take him to the TVA if he was the only, he made a threat. What sense? He's like, oh, I need to save you because my bosses said so. I'm like, but you're going against your boss's words anyway by trying to erase the timeline, by just trying to set off like a nuke. And that's really...
I thought he was trying to use Deadpool as his errand boy, inadvertently, take advantage of him.
Maybe, but at the same time...
It wasn't very obvious, and if that was the case.
I feel like as people do with the TVA, they sit there and watch their entire life, and they watch different versions of themselves and how they act, and they predict on how they act and whatnot, and we'll talk to them based off their past. And I'm like, knowing him and how he feels about the 8 people in his life, he would definitely try to be a bit of a hero in that situation, and not just be like, yeah, I'll be evil errand boy.
I think we start to get into the trouble with having timelines and the TVA existing outside of time. It gets confusing because
Multiverse sucks cock.
they're supposed to know everything that happens, right?
Right.
At any instance in time,
Right.
so it shouldn't matter. So how is a timeline dying if it already exists? The whole thing should exist all at once. It can't slowly wither away.
Right.
The entire
Because there's-
time of it exists.
Because the void is
at
the end
this
of
instance.
time.
I know, right? And the TVA exists outside of time. So how does that doesn't make sense to me? And I was like, okay, I gotta, with Loki, I gotta just not think about it too much because the way they do time is they do it in whatever way is the most convenient for the plot, which is fine, but it gets really confusing for anyone that wants to, try to follow the logic and understand where it's going, because it's just it doesn't make sense. They're seeing this other future where Deadpool is dead and Thor's crying over him, but where does that exist?
Right.
I don't understand how that could exist. They know about it and they've seen the Wolverine die. They were quoting that death scene of Wolverine dying. So, but the anchor being died, but he also exists in the past still, so they could just take him from the past and keep him alive, and then the anchor being doesn't die. Like whatever.
Well, that begs the whole question: why was Laura in the pruned area?
Maybe it's a different one from a split off timeline from that one. I don't know.
What I'm wondering.
That also was
Maybe
confusing.
that's the only way I was trying to like justify that whole timeline dying thing. But then I was like, well, if the whole timeline dies, when they say timeline dies, does that just mean they prune the timeline, or does it mean it actually fizzles out? I took it as they're pruning it.
I took it as it just fizzles out.
When I saw Laura towards the end of it, I was like, you know what? They're doing this intentionally. This isn't happening on its own. So that was her. You remember how like in Loki they had that like event where you're not supposed to, change?
Yeah.
I think that was where things deviated for her. She wasn't supposed to live, and he wasn't supposed to die for her. So they pruned that, reality.
Maybe.
Well, then they would have pruned it then. Then it would have branched off and they would have pruned it, right?
Right. Well, they did because she was in that land.
Yeah, but they
You
don't
can only
prune
reach
stuff
the
now.
area where
They let them
Eliath
die
is
naturally.
if you get pruned. Yeah.
I don't
Why can't I
know.
remember the name of that place. What the hell's the name of it?
What?
Where you get sent when you get pruned and Eliath
The
is
Void?
chasing you.
The void.
The Void.
Or
Thank
the
you.
end of time.
End of time. Void. Yeah, one or the other. Yeah. But
Yeah.
she got sent there as well as all those other cameos, and I was like, well, why?
I just assumed it was a variant of her somewhere else. But it is very confusing. That's why, again, this is the part where the plot doesn't make as much sense, and you just like try to not think about it too much because everything else is really enjoyable.
Yeah.
All the other things going on are great.
The plot,
is
yeah, not
not perfect
at all.
by any means.
It's a great thing because the rest of the movie really shines. Everything else really shines. The acting, the chemistry, the atmosphere, the
The
CG.
overall emotion of it.
Yes.
Like, it's great.
The entertainment factor will not disappoint.
No,
Yes.
I was really annoyed with the main villain, Cassandra Nova. It felt like a big old joke. It was hard to take her serious. I really did not like the CGI fingers thing. It looked really fucking stupid.
Oh, really? You didn't like it?
I thought it looked
pretty well
I thought
done.
it looked really lame kind of thing.
I liked it, but it was used a little too frequent in my taste.
Yeah, I feel like there was no. It did it, and it's like, oh, we're extremely discomfortable, like we're uncomfortable, but then she just would keep doing it to people, and it like had no repercussions or anything that we could see. So it's like, I don't know. She kept doing it. It'd be a big baddie and evil and stuff. It's just, I don't know. And then the whole thing with like Eliath, he eats metal. He eats anything that gets dropped to the void. That's the whole thing, except for their cars and Cassandra Nova's base and most of the people there as well. While meanwhile, all the Lokis had to hide underground because they eat everything on the surface. Who was literally eating cities, gigantic like tankers and ships and stuff and
Well, there was a whole
buildings.
excuse that apparently she controls him. So I was like, okay, this is a weird, random implementation. Like,
Yeah.
does she actually?
I do love her, the character, being there. I love that, and I really enjoy that. But I like something being like, hey, there's the alternative, like Professor X, who's actually evil within the same like capacity of power, who you gotta fucking look out for. And I feel like they were really kind of sidelined. A dude made of metal and a dude who shoots a lot of guns defeated her. I'm like, that's kind of lame.
Yeah, that's fair. There was absolutely no way they should have beat her at all. Because like as soon as they walked in, she should have just instantly like floop, you're dead. Just like they like
Melt
she
their
did
mind.
to,
Yeah, the whole cliche playing with her food thing. Yeah.
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 But maybe that's
many
what,
villains do that.
Again,
yeah.
it's one of the things you kind of just like, all right, it's whatever. It's not supposed to be the most intelligent or logical of plots because the whole movie isn't logical. There's fourth wall breaks everywhere. He's referring to Wolverine as both Wolverine and also just Hugh. I think he says a few times.
Yes.
You're
Yeah.
like, all right, that's
Which is
awesome
lovely.
for the
And of
audience.
course, the
Doesn't make sense at all.
Cavalrine.
But
Oh yeah, Henry
he's
Cavill.
gonna do this till he's 90. I'm like,
Which
that's
I
fine.
really hope so, because he's gonna be perfect for it.
Yeah.
Dude, the Henry Cavill though, that was pretty badass.
The Wolverine was pretty satisfying, dude. I saw the shoulders. I was like, that's gotta be him. Shit, dude's jacked.
I would not mind that if like Hugh Jackman can't do it anymore and Henry Cavill's like, I'll do it. I was like, all right.
He does immerse himself in his roles, and he does appreciate a good, character. So I respect that. I just wonder how he would fit in,
It would be like, is he doing Wolverine or is he doing a Hugh Jackman playing Wolverine? That's what it would have to be.
Yeah.
It wouldn't be Wolverine anymore. He would have to be playing Hugh Jackman playing Wolverine because
which goes back to the Blade thing. Mm-hmm. The whole like, there's only ever gonna be one Blade. That movie is in development hell. It's probably never happening. Let's be real.
Is that what they're referring to? The fact that it's probably not coming out?
They're like on their fourth director now. Yeah.
That's insane to me because they made so many cool jokes like at Marvel's expense.
Yeah.
And honestly, I think Ryan had a big say in the dialogue for this film from what it sounded
apparently, like. Well, yeah, he worked on it and wrote it, I'm fairly sure. And I know he would send rewrites to Marvel constantly, and he would constantly like push the button on purpose, and they would keep approving, and he just kept getting surprised by it, and so he kept like returning back to the well to try to like push the like envelope even more, and they kept being okay with it. Yeah.
It was great.
Dude, the fucking cocaine jokes, love that shit so much. So fucking funny.
Talking about the low point of Marvel right now, and then the other one being like, I think it's been great since Endgame. That was so funny to me. I was like,
fucking hilarious.
I was not prepared for that shit.
There was a lot of great comedic references. Even like the dressing scene where his ass is getting slapped like 10 times. He's like, by the way, your stylist is a pervert or whatever. Like,
because
the delivery of that just kills me because I'm like, okay, like we're getting a little over the top with all the ass smacks.
Yeah,
dude. And then that other guy looking at him, like the one, he's like,
who you calling? HR.
Is your wife in HR? That shit was so funny to me.
That's hilarious.
I gotta watch.
It's a really fucking funny movie. It is very funny. So the references, the Fantastic Four, the previous X-Men, just the lovely stuff. And him watching like on the big TV screen, like, why is Thor crying? Type of thing like that. Like so many other references.
Every time he wakes up, he's like, God of Thunder.
Yeah.
It's like, oh shit.
We got to see Blade, Elektra,
Wolverine, too,
Gambit. Ooh. Like, we got to see those as well.
They reference things that, like, other movies that never went anywhere, and that's now this is their ending. And then the whole Gambit thing where wasn't it like he was trying to have a Gambit movie forever?
Yes.
And that's what they're referring to as well.
Those jokes about, some of us that wanted to help people but never got to.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, he's like, are you sure you didn't just really, really want it and you just didn't?
I'm about to make a name for myself here.
Yeah. It's so funny.
His powers were so fucking cool, though, man. That shit was awesome.
They did well.
His combat sequences were probably my favorite of the group.
Dude,
it was amazing.
I've always been a big Gambit hater. I hate Gambit. I think he's lame as fuck. Yes.
I think he's fucking like Marvel's John Constantine is what he really reminds me of.
That's just...
And they haven't done a good job of portraying it in a lot of content. I heard the recent X-Men reboot, the animated, did his character a lot of justice.
Yes.
And I'm going to say flat out, Channing Tatum really did a phenomenal job.
He looked great too for it. He looked very extremely comic book accurate. Blade is old as fuck, so no hate there, No. There's
Jennifer Garner.
Yeah. I like how they mentioned
Elektra, dude.
They mentioned Daredevil, and he's like, "Hey, I'm sorry about that." And they mentioned Punisher as well, who died.
The Punisher references,
and the Magneto, Magneto who died as well and burnt the helmet or melted the helmet. Like fucking lovely stuff, dude. So fucking good. Talk about how they thought that Captain America was gonna pop out.
That's great. Yeah, because that's only funny to us as knowing that he's both.
Because Kyler, I was watching the movie theater with him. He had no idea. He's like, what is he? Like, he's like, Captain America turned into flames. Like, no, bro, that's a fucking Human Torch.
Human Torch.
Wait, he didn't. Oh, that's so unfortunate. Because I actually I loved the Fantastic Four movie. Like,
they're good.
The first one was great, and the second
one
was pretty damn
I
good.
still enjoyed because it was when Marvel was just coming out with shit, and like I ate that shit up. Like, the second one wasn't great, but I loved that. Like, it was just a good time. So like seeing him in this movie again was so funny. It was so great. So damn good.
The movie is extremely graphic. I anytime Wolverine said the F word, I was like in heaven. I'm like, man, Hugh Jackman is so good, dude. Like he's so
when they were
good.
bickering in the car, it was so funny.
Shut the fuck up! Like it's so
And he
fucking
punches
good.
the roof. Like I felt that he was like he was like really expressing that frustration because he was like, it's like the funny thing is you can't die. It's like yeah, that's so funny.
Both scenes of them going at it with each other were amazing, but the one in the car,
So the best.
peak.
So good.
What'd you think
And
about the
implication-
very beginning when they're like, all right, let's fucking do this. Like, let's give them what they've been waiting for. It's like, dude, it's kind of chills, you know? Like, that's it's just so fucking good. I was in heaven fucking watching this movie. You know, we get past the plot stuff, and it's just like, it's just pure entertainment. It's such a good time. And we got to see Azazel. And I almost teared up at the end seeing the credits when they did, like, all the behind the scenes of all the other X-Men stuff. And I'm like, man,
nice.
like, that made me feel old, but that made me, like, just made me very happy. I was just a fucking very happy movie. And I have not felt that in so long because I've been strictly going to the theaters to watch Marvel stuff strictly for like Foundry reviews and stuff. And I see the Marvel shit and I hate it and it's terrible. But I see it and I'm so happy about it.
It's because it didn't take itself too seriously. Like I think early Marvel didn't take itself too seriously. And then like the beginning of the real MCU still didn't take itself too seriously. It was trying to be a little more serious to get audiences in because, you know, everyone's like, oh, it's a comic book movie. It's not a serious movie.
Right.
So they got a little more and more serious. And then like Endgame happened. And by that time they were still kind of like pretty serious at that point. So like we were like ramping up like crazy good story shit. And now they're just like taking themselves way too seriously. So this was like finally like just a movie to be a fun, entertaining movie, not taking itself too seriously. And it was just a breath of fresh air. It was so good.
What'd you guys think of the post credit scene?
Man, that was
of Chris Evans.
Funny as hell. It was great because I was like, why do I think he's telling the truth about this?
Literally got gaslit by Deadpool, Sly.
That was, I know that I was like, there's no way. And then at the end of it, I was like, bro, that was funny. It didn't add a lot to like future stuff.
No,
but
of course not.
Was it a funny joke?
Just the
fucking hilarious.
Him at the end being like, and you can quote me on that, and he's like, "K."
He throws the remote. He's like, I told you.
The other X-Men slides you mentioned, or the Wolverines, the one on the big X cross, like surrounded by skulls. Jesus. And I love the direct fucking reference to Old Man Logan with the shotgun when he gets shot. He's wearing the old hat and stuff like that.
I mean, we had tons of references. There was even the one with the one arm. That other arm was, I think, from the comic book version of Wolverine, where he gets his arm lasered off by Scott.
Oh, jeez.
Yeah, and I was like, that's pretty damn hardcore. That did not grow back.
Yep. And then we got I think the first time Wolverine was introduced was the Hulk versus Wolverine fight, right?
No, it was the canonically accurate one, the little midget one.
No. I mean, like the first time Wolverine is ever seen in the comic is when he's fighting Hulk, right?
You're talking about that callback, yes.
Yeah. So like we got to see a bit of that fight between Wolverine and Hulk, and and Deadpool in the middle of it, and then he's like,
accident.
"I'm Marvel Jesus," and then he just gets punched by.
Yeah, it was Ruffalo Hulk, which was okay, but it was smart Hulk at least. So I was like, okay, good.
Nice. Yeah.
I did like seeing that though. I was like, man, that would be a scene that I would like to see that fight actually happen.
That would be so fucking good, dude. Why don't they just make shit, dude?
That would be a great TVA series if they just see splintered off realities. I would watch the shit out of that.
That would be interesting.
You could do that, and it would
make it very
episodic. They're all separate little realities. They're like bites. That would be perfect. You could tell like a small little story, or put like two together and tell a little more fleshed out narrative. That would be amazing.
You mean kind of like What If?
Yeah, that's exactly what I was thinking there.
Live action What If and less lame.
What If? I still enjoy What If.
Season 2 What If was ass. Let's be real.
It was definitely lower than the first one, agreed.
First one was
but I still enjoyed quite a bit of it. But Yeah, this movie was just a damn good time. Was there anything else like major that we should like talk about?
I would like to talk about the Deadpool at the end of the film
Peter.
that you see.
Oh,
yeah.
the squad.
I was very excited to see Mexican Deadpool because I actually bought a lot of those comics years ago. Whenever like Deadpool
really?
1.
That's
Yeah.
the
Chalupa pool? Yeah.
Yes. I was very into that stuff. I was very into the Deadpool comics, like of him and friends. And what is his band of the Mercs? Was it Mercs? What is his?
X-Force?
Is it X-Force?
His little team that he put together that like they all died?
No, it was trying to think of the. I thought he had a different like team, but I can't remember. But
Like in the comics you're talking about?
yeah.
Oh yeah, I don't know enough
Just
about it. to know.
Deadpool Corpse or something like that, or I can't remember.
Oh,
it
like the
specifically.
Deadpool Corps or something?
Yeah, because they're just the team of Deadpools. I read a lot of those comics
I
when I
think
was
that
younger
is
and
Deadpool
stuff.
Corps. Yeah.
Yeah, maybe. Yeah, you're probably right. I just I used to read a lot of those. I was really hoping to see like Death in it as well, or like a reference to it,
It's insane.
because I
I
really.
wonder, maybe in the future.
Yeah, I'm really surprised there wasn't one, and because like have some kind of Thanos joke in there too. I thought that would have been like right up his alley to make a
They're
joke
sticking
about,
with that whole love interest though, with the Vanessa thing,
which
and
is
that
so
was, no offense,
fucking
a weaker
weird.
Part of the film, it was weaker.
She's not even hot anymore. He looks better than she does. She's aged 10 fucking years since the last movie, dude. It's been 8, you know, or how long has it been? 8 movies? 8 years?
Been a while.
Yeah.
I still think she's attractive, but I don't think that's one of the strong parts of his films.
Well,
His
Sly has low
love interest
standards. No.
Fair enough.
Yeah, I agree. It was definitely the weaker part. It was not a super interesting part of the plot line. Like it was just trying to give him some reason to try to want to do more
Do better,
stuff.
I guess.
I did like the photo part, the whole like, look, everyone I care about.
Yeah,
is
of
in
course.
This photo here.
That's
I
fine,
love
yeah.
But
that
it's
scene.
fucking weird, though, how he keeps inviting his ex to his house to hang out just so she can keep tabs and see that he's becoming a better person. You know?
Yeah.
That's so fucking stupid. And the first time they hang out, he's like, "Oh, you seen someone?" She's like, "Yeah, I'm seeing somebody." So they're like, "All right, cool. We'll hang out next week." And she's like, "Hey, honey, I'm going to Max's house to see if he's changed, see if I can be with him." Like, "Okay, babe, I'll catch you later. Let me know if he's better and if we're done or not." Like, "All right, cool. Sounds good." Like,
Yeah,
that's
imagine.
ridiculous. That is fucking dumb. But whatever.
Unless she made up that she was seeing someone, which is possible, but they didn't show us either way. So we have to go with what she said.
I wish we had Domino. I really liked her. She was cool.
Zazie Beats' Domino was pretty good. Yeah, I wish we got her back. We got Peter again. Peter was the one who saved the day.
What was the guy with the
ass balls?
red hair? Was he from X-Force?
X-Force, yeah, he's the alien that was like super fancy, and he's like, I'm better than all of you. What was his name?
I don't remember. I did not recognize him. Then I had to convince
Sparkle
myself
or
he was
something?
from X-Men 2. But
No,
oh yeah,
he was-
Peter.
I think he was.
Shatterstar?
That sounds right, ish,
I
maybe.
think so. I think that's.
We had a fucking Colossus as well.
Yep.
Yeah, Shatterstar. You are right.
Yeah, Shatterstar. We had Colossus. We had Azazel.
Yeah,
We even had
Fire guy.
Juggernaut.
Juggernaut was in it as well with the helmet, of
Yeah.
course.
Juggernaut.
It was a different Juggernaut, but
Yeah, I wish it was.
still pretty good.
I wish it was
referenced
Vinny
that too.
Jones.
Vinny Jones is classic.
He's the
Juggernaut.
best fucking Juggernaut, dude. Don't give a fuck. He's great.
Don't you know who I am? That part is just.
So good, dude. That classic Juggernaut is the best.
Yeah, so many good references.
Did-
There's
did a good job.
yeah, we're trying to get over everything that just to mention, you know. It's a very class movie. Very, like I said, it makes
I
me
gotta
very
say,
happy.
the ending is also pretty satisfying because it feels open to interpretation in the way that it settles
Yeah,
with Deadpool, Logan, and Laura, in the sense that are they all now in our canonical, like, main reality?
Yeah, I think
chilling.
they're back where they need to be, you know.
they're in the Fox timeline still, though. I think, right? That was
Are
just
they? Because
his
remember,
initial
he
timeline.
visits Happy Hogan.
Yeah, so I think it's all the
after
same
getting
timeline.
kidnapped.
I think it's the whole same
Right.
timeline. I just don't
So
think
then,
they've referenced it, which
Has
is
he
kind of
always
stupid.
been technically in the main timeline?
That's what I'm assuming.
So they're just like retconning it subconsciously that he's always been here, just minding his own business.
I
Oh,
think
you're saying
so.
he's in the you're saying he's in the sacred timeline.
Yeah, sorry, yeah, Sacred Timeline now, because they
I don't
undid
think
that,
so.
but you
Because
know,
he had the time watch thingy on when he went to see Happy, like the thing that he used from.
I didn't see that at all.
I didn't pay enough attention to that.
He had that when he was meeting with Happy, so I'm pretty sure he used that to go to the Sacred Timeline, and then he's back
Well, then
afterwards.
how would Vanessa know about the Avengers? Did she push him to go to see the Avengers specifically, or just for him to do better in general?
I think she.
I
did
think she was
both.
pushing him. I don't remember. Honestly, I'd have to see it again.
Because
Yeah,
I think the whole
don't
thing was he
remember if
needed to
said
be
Avengers.
about more than himself. And
Yes.
that was the pushing towards a team thing.
Okay, maybe
So
maybe you're
I don't
right
know
there.
if she inadvertently pushed him towards the Avengers because he got rejected from X-Men, like we know.
Yeah.
And that's within his universe. But then the Avengers thing, you're right, Ken. It might have been a different universe he hopped over to.
I think it must be because I think the whole like his timeline is dying is a whole reference to Fox, that universe dying with Wolverine being their last like real movie.
See, but then
So I
this is
think
my
it's supposed to
concern.
be like kind of a metaphor for that.
How is he gonna come in permanently? I
Maybe
want
there's still
him
something else.
I want
think
him to
that's kinda
cross
up
that
in the air.
threshold for good. I
Maybe
don't want
he's
him
gonna fucking become an agent of the TVA. Who the fuck knows, dude?
Oh god.
I mean, they said at the end of the movie, like, there's still there's still greater stuff for you guys to do. So, like, maybe they're gonna either give him a way to, he'll be just. I mean, Deadpool's just always hopping over timelines and shit. Like,
This is true.
he's an enigma.
A
in that way.
menace.
So maybe they'll give him a way to like hop in between timelines. Like, oh, actually, the Avengers need you right now. Could you hop into the sacred timeline real quick? Even though, again, timelines that doesn't make sense. But sure, what.
Just imagine someone's like, "We need a secret weapon," and they pull out him.
Hell yeah, dude. That would be
Disappointing.
funny as shit. But I guess I don't. I guess my perspective is I think they're still in the Fox timeline technically.
Yeah,
Like,
I
that's
think.
where it ends.
Yeah, they're all together now, which is sweet.
Yeah, I think you're right. But unless
We'll have to see how they do
unless
that.
they reveal more than we know. But yeah, I think you're right. But should we? Is there anything else we're missing, you guys?
The shirtless scene right at the end. So good.
Need to
I mean, we
revisit that.
talked about it already, but
He has
damn,
risen.
the ending was just so good. Like it was so funny.
Class.
Like the music, the scene, although I still don't know why Wolverine didn't just immediately like use his claws to cut the door, because they're supposed to basically cut anything. But whatever, I guess just for the build up. But yeah, it was so funny because they look at each other. He looks down at his abs and he's like, "Oh yeah."
Very funny. I want to go numbers. I'm excited to give this a number.
Likewise.
I'm gonna give it
Ooh.
a 9.
I think I'll
I
give a
liked it
9.
a lot, and I'm it might be on a curve because of the
Definitely biased.
fucking
but that's
bullshit
okay.
they put out recently.
Yeah.
And I say
Jesus
recently
Christ.
out of like 3-4 fucking years.
Yeah.
Yeah. It'll be interesting to watch this, like, 10 years in the future, like when it's a little less relevant.
I'll be dead.
Like, I hope not. Damn. Like, you go back and just watch the Deadpool movies. Like, will the humor still hit? Because humor has a way of, like, not really translating over time. So I'm really curious, like, in 10, 20 years, if we watch this movie, if it'll just be like,
Will it hold up?
yeah. I kind of doubt it, but I think it'll still be an enjoyable movie.
The only thing I didn't think was that funny was the dog bits.
Oh, yeah, dude. Don't get me
Oh,
started.
Dogpool?
It was fine, but it was too much. It was like 3 different times.
Yeah.
I liked
dog, I'm like-
Dogpool. My issue was Nice Pool. That was what was cheap.
I wasn't really
Can
big
do
on
bits. The proposal. I was like, what the fuck?
that.
is
Was the
that?
only
What?
part that I thought was funny when he said that the
I
proposal.
like that part.
That was the only part where I was like, bro, like, but all the other moments, like leading up with Nice Pool, I was like, kind of goofy. I did appreciate the Gold Desert Eagles though. That was fucking funny.
Yeah.
But it did get a little over the top following Nice Pool so much.
It's weird
Yeah.
how like TVA is like, oh yeah, it's full of Lokis, and they're like, now it's full of Deadpool. It's like, okay, does it not matter? Like, are we just not gonna be
That's
consistent?
what I'm wondering. I'm like, because obviously they never reset the void. The
You
void is
can't.
just-
It's
Exactly.
it's the end of the time, right? Like all of the fucking I don't know. I'm not gonna make any assumptions or anything. They change the fucking rules, and we're
Yeah, who
It's too
knows?
hard to follow the TVA part.
we usually make a rule whenever we cover anything regarding the multiverse. We say that we are not going to mention or talk about the time travel stuff because it's too convoluted.
Yep.
And they're not consistent with following their own fucking rules.
No.
Yeah. But yeah, I guess going back to the dog, it was too much to me. It was the one time was fine, but it was just.
You're right. It's a 7 now.
The dog, like I don't, I don't understand why. Like I don't know where that came from. Like there's such a random, like why did they get this dog? And
apparently
like,
Ryan went out.
Funny
and...
to have that dog licking his face and him licking the dog's tongue. I was like, oh my.
You don't give kisses back?
Not like that, bro. I would not.
Seriously? No, I'm just
That's
kidding.
a very average dog enthusiast. Get out of
No.
here.
Not to gaslight me into thinking like that's normal.
That's how you're supposed to
doesn't
give
reciprocate.
kisses to dogs. Yeah, I'm like, your poor dog must think you don't love him, dude. That's fucked up. No, so apparently Ryan went out and this dog won the most ugliest dog contest in a certain region and just recruited him. Was like, yo, does your dog want to be in a movie? And apparently he did really well and shit. So for not even being like an actor dog,
fair,
so they just
He's a good boy.
yeah, like okay. That's what I heard about
it. Could have been
so.
just one scene.
I
One scene.
agree, and I feel like if Nice Pool showed up like in New York, wearing like having the dog, like fine, just don't pay that much. It's weird. I'm not big. It makes me feel a little uncomfortable how Deadpool's like, I'm gonna just take your dog. I'm gonna steal your dog, you know? And like I don't like that. That makes me feel icky as a dog.
would've
owner.
been he's a bad person,
Nice
but
Pull
that's-
showed up for the first time at the end. Yeah.
Yeah. It's like we all know Deadpool is kind of a jackass, but like that's crossing the line when you're talking about taking someone's dog.
It is.
Nah, man.
Yeah.
Nah, man. It's too far.
Him
dare
getting
you.
him killed was fucking hilarious too. It was pretty funny.
Yeah.
Regeneration?
Yeah, that was pretty fucking class. Okay, Sly, what's your number?
I gotta give it a solid 8, man. This was a good movie. This was a great movie in terms of entertainment. But if I'm looking at it, the plot aspect, that was its only shortcoming.
I agree.
And because of that, that's the only reason why it's an 8 and not a 9 for me. Otherwise, this movie nailed it out of the ballpark. Sure, it kind of had a little Ouroboros moment where you're like chasing your tail about the whole timeline thing. But if you throw that out of your mind, it's a damn fun movie. And it's one of the best things they've had in a long time.
Agreed.
Yep.
That was a very solid score.
I'm very happy with it. I highly recommend everyone to go out and watch it, give it a watch. And then after that, you'll probably be motivated to go back, watch some other X-Men or the previous Deadpool movies or even some earlier Fox stuff. Go back, watch Blade 1 and 2, you know? Blade's amazing. Watch some Blade. Watch some Daredevil. Don't watch Elektra. Don't watch Elektra. Don't watch that. But watch everything else.
Yeah.
But our official review is going to be what, 8.5 then?
Yeah. That sounds good.
So yeah, that's the official score for Deadpool and Wolverine. If you guys enjoyed the review, make sure to leave a like, drop some support for the slugs down below in the comments, and make sure to share the video with your friends. But we'll see you guys later on the next Foundry video. But until then, bye guys.
Peace
Bye.
out.